having a conversation with Naomi Campbell and finally addressing the feud that has been going on for over a decade. Do you remember that photo?
Yeah, I remember.
I remember that photo because we didn't say one word to each other. It was after the thing that happened on the boat.
Right.
And it looks like we're just chilling and talking, but if you see there, I feel the ice in that picture because I remember it like it was yesterday.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I remember only about the...
There was no communication. I went from calling my mom, like, you know, saying, oh my gosh, she's so amazing, to calling her going, I don't know what happened.
Right.
We just did a photo. She didn't speak to me. Like,
I remember just with your, I remember you telling me about the wigs. I don't remember anything
You don't
else.
remember anything else?
But I remember that the ending of that trip was not very, it was very cold.
We did a fashion show. I don't remember what it was. It might have been Jenny or something like that in Milan. And we were doing that fashion show backstage, and you came up to me right when I was about to walk out, and you said something. And it's so funny because it was so surreal at the time when you said it. I didn't think that you could actually say something like that.
What did I say?
You said something like, you'll never be me, don't ever think that you'll be me, and something like that.
I said that?
Yes.
I can't think, that's something, I'm not that, I'm very much in the, I'm very much, I know the person that I am, and I'm not someone to go and give myself away and say that to anybody. I've never said that in my life. So, but if that's what you remember, I accept that, but it's not, doesn't sound like me to people that would know me.
I'm not sure if you're understanding how much it was painful for me, and I think it was truly a painful time for you, but I don't want to speak for you. But, and I don't think you know this either, that experience between you and I was one of the most difficult times in my entire life. In my entire life.
See, for me, I can be really honest, I love modeling. I love this industry. It's given me a lot. It's shown me a lot. It's made me travel the world and meet amazing people. But with what I'm going through in my life in the last 5 or 6 years, and what I've gone through, of what I've come to know in making my mistakes, in maturing with my family, with myself, with my relationships, it's not life-threatening, and it's not that deep. It's not about, I didn't know myself at that age. I want to know what between 20 to 25-year-old really does know themselves at that age. Especially in such a whirlwind career. What I was envious of you was you had your mother with you. I never was able to have my mother with me. I always remembered you had your mother at all your shows, and she was always there with you, and I thought I wish that I could have my mother with me.
Why couldn't your mother be with you?
Because she just had a baby. And it wasn't possible. She had to raise my brother.
Let me tell you why my mother was with me. When I went to Paris, my mom wasn't with me. We couldn't afford it. I went at 17 years old, right out of high school. So she actually had 2 jobs when I left and went to Paris. We couldn't afford it. And there was a situation. It was a Versace fashion show. I was backstage getting my hair and makeup done. And this is about a year and a half into this feud thing that was going on. And then I think his name was Angelo, or Italian name. Can't remember his name.
Angelo.
Angelo? Was that his name? Okay. Angelo called me. And he said, Tyra, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. And he had a really weird look on his face. And I said, what is it? He says, I have to cancel you from the fashion show. And I was like...
And you instantly thought that was because of me?
No, I didn't. I didn't. And I said, why? I just did my fitting. I did everything. The show's about to start in 20 minutes. And he gave me a look and kind of did like that toward you. And I was like, okay.
What, do you ever know Johnny Versace?
No.
Okay, so anyone that knows him knows I could never do that. But just so you know, you're not alone. Kate Moss was canceled after doing a fitting in a rehearsal.
No. I've been canceled as a model a lot. I'm not blaming you.
That was the Johnny Versace way.
Yes. No, he's notorious. I knew he was notorious for canceling at the last minute. So that's not what I'm saying.
Nothing to do with me.
This is not my opinion. This is something that somebody did a head nod.
Said, yeah.
So I picked up my backpack, walked out, and I was like, you know what? This is enough. This is enough, because I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I went to a payphone.
You called her?
I called my mother and I said, Ma, I can't take it anymore. I dropped down to my knees in that payphone. People were walking by, trying to help me in French, and they didn't know I was okay. I was just emotional. I said, I can't take it anymore. And I said, if she wants it this badly, she can have this entire industry. I got accepted to 5 colleges. I'm coming home and I'm going to school.
Right.
That's what I told my mom. My mom kind of calmed me down, and I said, well, the only way that I can do this is if you are by my side every single day.
But don't you think some of the things are like blown up a little bit? When I would read the press, I'd be like, but this didn't happen. We didn't have a fight on the runway. This, I mean, it really was blown up out of proportion.
No, most definitely. It was definitely blown up and perpetuated. But to me, there are certain things in the press that come from nothing, and then there are certain things that come from truth.
Absolutely.
And I do feel that
it came from somewhere.
It came from.
But I mean, the stuff that was written was exaggerated. Was, you know, people adding their little here and tidbits here and there.
That's always going to be.
And that's always going to be that way.
Because negative press wouldn't have made me want to quit. If it was only negative press. You know, to be honest, Naomi, I'm fearful of you to this day. Not right now. I feel safe. I feel like it's just me and you. There's not a lot of hoopla.
Right.
But even a couple of years ago, when we did the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and I walk in the room and I see you, I'm like, I start shaking. My heart starts beating faster. I go back to the 17-year-old girl
that you used to be.
That I used to be when this powerful, strong icon woman that I looked up to was terrorizing me. There came a time in my career where I started to gain some weight. I started to get curvier. And I was told by my modeling agency that I needed to lose some weight. So I tried to lose some weight, and I was like, you know what? This isn't for me.
Right.
And I'm going to have my agency call Victoria's Secret, call Sports Illustrated, so that I can change my career and won't have to worry about being so thin to be a high fashion model. And to this day, that's the story that I tell the press as to why I left the fashion industry. I just didn't want to fit in those clothes anymore. I didn't want to have to be super healthy and eat only chicken and vegetables. But that's only 50% of it. The other half of that is I was tired of having to deal with you. I was tired of that pain. I was tired of the comparison. I was tired of constantly hearing that I got canceled from this job or this or that, or this photographer was called or this magazine was called and was telling to not use me. So I made a conscious decision and I said, you know what? I'm tired. I'm so tired of this. First of all,
do you have proof that photographers were called? Do you have any proof
I have some close people with big names that I definitely will not tell their names today because they kick my butt. Yeah. But I have to say that I do believe a lot of it. I do believe a lot of it because there's a lot of these people have nothing to gain by saying that. They're not people that are gossip mongers.
I can understand you want to believe it. For me, it's not important to me. As I said, I'm in a part of my life, even then, where life means more to me than that. This is just the fashion world is a small pinnacle in the hemisphere of what really is going on in the world.
But what happened at that time for me, Naomi, what happened for me at that time is a big part of who I am today. It was one of the lowest points in my life, but we all learn from the things that happen in our lives that are negative, and I think that's what made me start T-Zone. I think that that rivalry has made me start America's Next Top Model because I said, I will never be what that represented.
Right.
And I went 100% against that and said, and I don't think it was a conscious thing. It's something I look back on now and go, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I started my T-Zone. Maybe that's why I started America's Next Top Model. Maybe that's why I have this talk show. So to teach that no matter what people say or do or try to look at women as marionette puppets that they want to create this bickering and this battle and this fighting, that